Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting on yeah. Back with another vibe for all, you know what I mean? And have you guys ever wanted to like just go out into the wilderness and thing, and not come back, not be around humans, get me a drink going here, you know what I mean? I got, hey, it's like going to the movies. I gotta have a little snack, you know what I mean? A little drink the thing. But, have you ever thought about that? I mean, when I was on the island, I used to like going to the rainforest by myself a lot and just staying there for a while, just to be away from human beings. Some people take it to the next level. And this video here is called 15 Isolated People Who Must Hate Humanity. I don't exactly hate humanity, but there are times you need to get away from humanity. So let's see the extremes that these people go to get away from humanity. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer.
A mysterious white house situated on the top of an isolated island. The person who lives here must hate humanity. Let's take a look at 15 people who hate the outside world. Illidan Island, Iceland. Just off the south coast of Iceland is the extremely remote Vestmannaeyjar archipelago. And on one of the islands known as Illidan, there's a mysterious white house in what must be one of the most isolated and private homes in the world. There have long been rumors about who might live there, with suspicions that it could be the retreat of Icelandic singer Björk, or even a hideaway for a billionaire preparing for the worst. But the truth behind the house is that it has its roots in the 18th century. Back then, it used to be a valuable source of fish and puffin, and there used to be a small community that would capture the animals for sale on the mainland. As other work opportunities opened up elsewhere, people began to move away, and by the 1930s there were only 5 residents left. Even they were forced to finally accept that they had a more prosperous future away from the island, so reluctantly moved, and by all accounts, the home has remained uninhabited since then. Still, there are questions about the truth of this, because recent photos show it to be in a remarkable condition, which has further fueled speculation that it is, in fact, still being used by someone who hates the outside world so much that they've gone to extreme lengths to conceal their presence.
I couldn't live out there. Nah.
Number 14. Potato Island, Connecticut. If you need to be close to a city for work reasons but can't stand the presence of other people, then there's still options available to you. One of the best choices is to live on a small island, and while you may be close to other beachfront homes, you can still live in the utmost privacy. A great example of this is Potato Island in Connecticut, named because the 1.1-acre granite island looks like the vegetable. The home on it was built in 1912 and has 3,871 square feet of floor space. There are 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms, and a recent renovated kitchen along with a perfectly manicured garden. It recently sold for just under $5 million, which seems like a bargain to anyone needing their space and privacy. But with the ability to reach Stony Creek on the mainland in just 2 minutes by boat from the private jetty, or Manhattan in an hour and 40 minutes, it's the ideal retreat. To add extra mystery around the place, one of the islands in the chain is thought to have been where Captain Kidd buried a treasure chest in the 17th century. And according to local legend, it's yet to be found. If the story is true, it proves that even the pirates believe this to be a secluded location, and one that's isolated from the rest of the world. Number 13. Castle on a Cliff, Plettenberg Bay. There are a number of stunning properties along the coastline of South Africa, but one of the most remote and incredible places is the Castle on a Cliff in Plettenberg Bay. It's built on a rocky outcrop that's around 7 minutes drive away from the bay itself, as it's within its own private reserve. There's no sign of anyone or anything else once you're inside. The castle has stunning views out across the Indian Ocean from the 4 suite bedrooms, the dining room, the patios, and the swimming pool, and there's a private stretch of coastline that only residents can access. Amazingly, it's open for rental by groups, and is often hired by people looking to escape the outside world who need peace and quiet. The only distraction you'll ever get is from a local species of rabbit, baboon, or the birds that feed in the area.
That could be a little romantic place and thing, you know what I mean? I don't know if I was going to be just out there by myself, though. Yeah. I don't know. I don't mind being out in the jungle and stuff like that, but when, because there's predators and stuff out there that you have to be aware of. Once you put a human in there, you know what I mean? You tend to relax more. Just making yourself kind of more vulnerable. Does that make sense? I mean, that make me some paranoid and stuff like that. But this is really pretty, though. I mean, I would spend a day there. I wouldn't want to spend a night over there. Nah. I mean? I'd rather spend a night in the jungle than I spend, out there.
And it's no wonder that the place is one of the most popular for guests looking to experience the famed garden route along the coast for themselves, in complete privacy. Number 12, Red Cottage, just room enough.
Wow.
There aren't too many places that you can go in New York State to avoid the outside world, but it's certainly possible if you get creative. One of the most secluded properties in the state is known as Red Cottage, and while plenty of people may know about it, most haven't been anywhere near it because it sits on its very own island in the St. Lawrence River. The tiny island called Just Room Enough Island is one of more than 1,800 rock formations in the river and is no larger than a standard-sized tennis court. At just 3,300 square feet, it currently holds the world record for the world's smallest inhabited island, since the home was built there by the Illidan family in the 1950s. And they used virtually every piece of available land for the house, the patio, and the tree that they planted next to it. It is the ideal spot for anyone looking to keep their distance from the outside world while still being able to quickly access the mainland when needed. And is probably the best property that offers seclusion in one of the most densely packed areas of the U.S. Number 11, Casa do Penedo. Casa do Penedo, which translated from the Portuguese means House of the Rock, is a house that's in the open country. To bring you all the best content, be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button. Number 8. Summer Ascendi. The Ascendi summer house was built deep within one of Sweden's pine forests in 2017 and was designed to be a secluded escape for its owners who want to spend their time without interference from the outside world. Surrounded by the lush forest, it's right next to the...
Sweden has got some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. I watch a lot of pictures of Sweden, man. Even in the most isolated places, it's beautiful there, beautiful.
Coast and a sandy white beach, and as a newly built home, it features all the conveniences you'd expect. Planned as a home for a family, the 2-story structure has 3 bedrooms, a common room, and a bathroom on the top floor, and a master bedroom, a kitchen, and a living room on the ground floor with doors that open up into the forest. The materials used in its construction help it to blend in with the surroundings, and its overall look is inspired by traditional building designs of the country. The best thing for escapists, though, is that the nearest neighborhood is more than 5 miles away, so residents only have to deal with the outside world on their own terms. Number 7. The Catski Pillar.
Whoa!
Religious buildings have for thousands of years provided people with safety and refuge from the things going on in the outside world. But to really devote their lives to their beliefs, some worshippers have gone to extreme lengths to separate themselves from the rest of humanity and get as close to the heavens as possible. There are examples of this from around the world, but the one that stands out the most is the church that sat on top of the Catski Pillar. The pillar itself is a 130-foot-tall natural limestone monolith that's in the country of Georgia, and investigations have found that it was used as a site for a hermitage since at least the 9th century. There are no steps to reach the top, and it was only in the 1950s that researchers first climbed to the summit, and they were stunned by what they found. Not only is there a main church building, but there's also a crypt, 3 hermit cells, a wine cellar, and the ruins of a much older church. It's been the home of a monk from the Orthodox Church called Maxime Catharades for at least the past 20 years after helping to restore the structure, and he only climbs down twice a week to get supplies. It's undoubtedly one of the most secluded buildings on Earth, and perfect for someone who has no interest in modern life. Number 6. The Laggan Brahat. Scotland is renowned for its lush countryside and stunning vistas, and is a popular tourist destination for people wanting to escape. Most visitors love to take in the hospitality of the people there, but for those wanting to shun the outside world, there are some perfect places to go to. One of the most isolated is the Laggan Brahat, and it was originally built in the 19th century for use as a crofting home, where the owners of the surrounding land would live to watch over their crops and livestock. It's in such a remote place, many miles away from the nearest neighborhoods, that it proved to be almost impossible to turn a profit from the land, so the hut was abandoned, and eventually taken over by the Scottish National Trust and the Scottish Mountaineering Club in 1946, and they maintain it to this day. From the outside, it may not look like much, but after an extensive redevelopment in the 1990s, this is a wonderful place to stay without the prying eyes of everyone else. Amazingly, there are actually 20 beds inside for weary travelers, along with gas cookers and electric heating. But most of the original design elements remain. It still has a traditional Balachulish slate roof, and the walls are made of thick local stone to provide shelter from the pummeling winds that blow through the region. Number 5. Rock House, Serbia. Serbia is a beautiful country with some of the most stunning landscapes you'll see anywhere in the world. For residents, it offers countless environments to explore, and you'll never know quite when you'll next find a place of inspiration and escape. That's what happened to 2 brothers and their friends in the summer of 1968 when they were attempting to swim across a stretch of the Drina River. One of them became tired and swam to a rock formation in the river, and when they took a look around, they realized that this was somewhere special. The group collected pieces of driftwood that were floating down the river and built themselves a rudimentary shelter where they could hide away, and even though this original structure was destroyed by rising tides later that year, the friends returned to build a more sturdy building, which has had to be continuously rebuilt ever since. In fact, the so-called rock house that stands there today is the 8th house to have been built, and was completed in 2011. In recent years, more people have found out about it because of a popular boat race that goes past it, and it's become one of the most photographed houses in the country. Still, with it being located so far in the middle of nowhere, and with the only access possible by swimming across the river, it's still a great place for someone to escape the outside world and find a sense of privacy.
Do you see how absolutely beautiful this world is? Look at all these open spaces, man. People are putting on buildings in these remote places. It's just gorgeous. Why are we try to destroy this world? Why can't we just get along and enjoy this stuff, man? Look at this stuff. I mean, you know, you go in, this is Serbia, you know, Georgia, you know, Sweden, all these, just these really beautiful places in this world. We should be just living and being happy and traveling and visiting these places and meeting people and just live. It's so beautiful out there. We spend our lives in this freaking concrete jungle. And I'm in a small one, but it's still a concrete jungle. And all we do is we work and we work and we work and we work. And then we retire and wait to die. And there's all of this everywhere. There's a reggae song that says, it's your world and my world. We should be able to go visit all those different places, man. You know what I mean? If you want to. It's like money has taken over everything to where you have to spend money to get to places, and most people can't afford to do that. Well, that's why I'm here. There we go. I'm showing these things to you on these YouTube videos here. Maybe it could be a bucket list. Maybe you want to go to this rock house here and just see it. Participate in the boat race or something. I know I live here in West Virginia. There's, you know, whitewater rafting and stuff. Canoe pass it or something. You know what I mean? I still want to travel and see some other places. I've been to quite a few places in my time. But I still want to go see some more, man. I still want to go see some more. Get out there and see the world. And while you're doing it, make vacation vlogs and stuff, and you know, set it up on YouTube so people could see what it's like. You know, people who can't afford to go there or too scared to fly to those places. And, you know, it's a beautiful world, man. It's a beautiful world.
Number 4, Casa Malopate. The island of Capri in Italy is on the south side of the Gulf of Naples, which is in such a beautiful place that it's been used as a vacation resort since at least the times of the Romans. It is now one of the most popular tourist destinations in the region, thanks to its cultural heritage and the sunny beaches, and virtually no part of the land has been left untouched by developers wanting to get their own piece of the action. There is, however, one place that offers a surprising amount of privacy and seclusion from the outside world, Casa Malopate. It was built in the late 1930s by the man who owned the land and a stonemason friend of his, and is on the eastern side of the island. The basic structure is made up of a red masonry box that has a pyramidal stairs that leads to the roof terrace, and it sits on a precarious 104-foot-tall cliff that looks out over the sea. What's particularly great about the house is how hard it actually is to reach it. There's a choice of approaching it from the sea, which is only possible on calm days and involves climbing 100 steps that have been carved into the cliff face, or by choosing the safer route, which involves a 90-minute walk through uneven terrain, most of which is within the private grounds of the house itself. Number 3. Wordie House, Winter Island. If you're looking for the most isolated home in the world, that often means anyone who stays there is cut off from contact for several months at a time, then the answer is undoubtedly the Wordie House. It's on Winter Island, which is off the coast of Graham Land in Antarctica, and was first discovered during an expedition in 1934.
Beautiful.
It was this team that first set up the structure on the island, which they used as the site of their winter base. And then, 10 years later, a more permanent structure was built by the British Antarctic Survey, with a main hut that was named Wordie House, after one of the members of the Shackleton's Trans-Antarctic expedition who visited the site while it was being constructed. The hut contains a kitchen, a living room, an office, a generator room, and a shed, and it used to have 3 or 4 residents in it at any one time. Once the winter months begin, it's almost impossible to access or leave the island. So if you're staying at the hut at the time, you have no choice but to survive the harsh weather with no outside contact, and wait until things calm down again before continuing on with your journey. This means that only a certain type of person has ever been able to successfully stay in the Wordie House, namely, those who hate the outside world and prefer living in an inaccessible space without any sign of anyone else for months at a time. Number 2. Gosodolur Village. The Faroe Islands are an archipelago that can be found around 200 miles to the north of Scotland and are between Norway and Iceland. A part of the Kingdom of Denmark, this truly is an isolated place, but that hasn't stopped the small community from thriving there. The village, called Gosodolur, is on Vagar Island and is surrounded on most sides by mountains, but is also next to a beach. This is the only means of access, with boats having to moor up on the rocks in calm weather, and then using the staircase to reach the village itself. There are other villages on the island, but from Gasaladur they're virtually impossible to reach without a treacherous climb through the mountains, so in search of work, most of the residents of the village have left to go elsewhere. In 2004, there were only 16 people living in the village, a number that's now increased slightly to 18, and they all live a back-to-basics lifestyle with very little involvement with the outside world whatsoever. It's so remote that the first road was only built in the last 20 years, and cars have only just been made available on the island. A tunnel has been built to give easier access to other villages, but even this isn't accessible for much of the year due to weather, so it hasn't made much of a difference to how secluded this place truly is. As far as isolated communities go, Gasaladur is up there with the best of them, and this is the ideal place for people who hate the outside world and want to escape modern life. Number 1. The Sky Sphere. While most homes for people avoiding the outside world involve living off the land with very few modern amenities on offer, that doesn't have to be the case. If technology is important while still being as far away from anyone else as possible, then the Sky Sphere is the perfect choice.
Wow.
The giant white structure is near the town of Illidan in New Zealand and was built in 2016 by a local designer. Lighting is controlled via an app. There's a voice-activated beer dispenser in one of the couches, and it even has a zombie mode that, when activated, completely seals it off from the outside world to protect those inside it. Amazingly, even with features like this, it's completely self-sufficient and powers everything from a series of solar panels on the roof. The man behind the design has for years built extravagant treehouses and saw this as the natural extension of his passion. He also built the Sky Sphere to be portable, and it can be uprooted and moved to a new position in just a matter of hours. This doesn't affect its sturdiness though, which is important considering it's subjected to some of the harshest conditions New Zealand has to offer. It can therefore withstand earthquakes that measure up to magnitude 8.5, and winds of up to 125 miles per hour, meaning no matter what happens inside, you're almost guaranteed to be safe and secure inside. The initial design was somewhat lacking, however, because it didn't have plumbing and therefore couldn't have a bathroom. The plan, though, is to upgrade it so it's possible to live in there full-time, and designs like this could inspire a whole new generation of people who want to live off the grid and detach from the outside world. It was all built with $50,000 worth of materials, which makes it much more affordable than most homes, and with no one else from miles around, it's the perfect retreat. Watch our binge-watching playlist if you...
I'm not. That last one was really cool. It's like modernized isolation off the grid. That was pretty cool right there, you know, because you could still see the city and stuff like that, so you don't feel that isolated like if you was in one in Antarctica. Man, that stuff is so pretty. The world is just beautiful, people. It's just beautiful. Let's start getting along so we could enjoy the world, the different cultures, you know, all that good stuff. Let's start getting along. I would love to go visit places like Iran and Syria and stuff like that, just for the culture. They've been around forever there, man, you know, centuries and things. And some of those buildings have survived and cultures survived, you know. We should want to learn this stuff about each other. Maybe if we learn about each other like that, we could become a better race of people. You know what I'm saying and thing? Anyway, I'm babbling on. Be sure to subscribe, you know, hit the notification button so you know when I'm sending out new videos. Also, I'm going to put the link to this video in the bottom, so, you know, go check it out, the thing, you know what I mean? Check out what else they got on that channel there, because they got some cool videos over there, you know what I mean? But, you know, think about it. Think about the world we live in. Even where I live here in West Virginia, it is gorgeous out there, you know, the New River Gorge and all those places out there. It's beautiful out there. You know what I mean? We need to start getting along so we all can enjoy it. It's your world. It's my world. Enjoy it. Let's go ahead and make life cool runnings, okay?